Hi guys, welcome to this speed build video in The Sims 4. My name is Irene and today I am building my Cylindrical Sci-Fi Hideaway. So yes, I'm going to build a house in a cylindrical shape. I did a circular shaped house months ago called Halo. It's one of the most viewed videos on my channel. But the particular method that I used in that build, in my Halo build, that doesn't work anymore in the game. So now when you pull that build from the gallery, the most appearing comment is that the circle isn't completely round anymore. So I wanted to revisit that build. I had this video planned for weeks already, but I wanted to do it in a totally different style, in a totally different setting, and in a totally different way. So let's just jump right in. I want to tell you more about the setting later on, about a lot later on, about a lot of other stuff later on. But before we know it, the part of me creating that cylindrical shape is already gone and I'm already onto something totally different. So yes, I wanted to revisit that build again. I wanted to build that cylindrical, in this particular build, but circular shaped house again. I wanted to see if I could make it perfectly round again. And of course, the most important thing, removing the walls underneath the roofs to create that effect. I talked about this method numerous times in previous videos, but that previous video, or that Halo build, I used walls underneath the roofs, I used doors underneath the roofs, on the walls, and in that way you could size down these doors, you could raise them up, and you could remove the walls. You can see right here that I'm placing in doors as well. But that previous method, that doesn't work anymore because of an update that came out for the game. Before the platform tool update, we got that update for the game that lets us stack windows now. Before that update came out, you could only place one window on one particular wall tile, if you will, wall piece. And if you placed it more, the wall was appearing again, the window was all glitchy. So yes, we got an update for it. That's amazing, of course, but I couldn't raise up doors anymore to remove the walls underneath the roofs. So the method that I'm using now is different. You still have to cover up that wall underneath the roof completely with doors. You can see it in a couple of seconds happening again on this particular roof piece. You really have to cover up that complete wall. I use a very big archway doors for them. You can use any door you want. It makes work a little bit easier if you use big doors, because then you have to use less doors, of course. Then you have to size these doors down with the T.O.O.L mod. The T.O.O.L mod is by TwistedMaxi, an amazing mod. You can pull it from his website, twistedmaxi.com, and it lets us rotate items in certain ways. It lets us lower down items or raise them up, or size up or down items. So yes, you can size items so far down that they become invisible and that you cannot see them anymore. So I used that method over here. But my challenge was as well to see if I could make this house really round, like a perfect round shape. And I think I kind of managed that over here. Create your own opinion about it if you want, of course. But yes, the method that I used here, the revisited method, is by using the T.O.O.L mods and sizing down the doors. I used that method a couple of times in previous videos already, but I really wanted to see if I could use it over here on the entire part of this circular shaped house and all the roofs. I wanted to see if I could really make all these walls disappear and make this look perfect circular, perfect cylindrical shape, if you will. I still have these lines left though, where the walls used to be, just on the ground where the walls used to be. Of course, I still have to cover these parts up, and I used decks for it. You can see it here. Of course, in this house. It's not really a house, it's more a hideaway. You have to certain platforms to walk over as well. So I just used these decks to cover up these lines that I still had left. And you can walk over them later on. I will place items on them later on. So it really becomes a functional shape in the game you can really use. So yes, I was so happy that everything worked out here. And like I said, I really wanted to revisit that method again. Not just use on a couple of roofs or parts in a particular build. No, I wanted to see if I could really make it work again. But now let's go to the setting, because I wanted to do something totally different than that Halo build. I wanted to go for a totally different style. That Halo build was in a futuristic style as well. Of course, this is kind of futuristic too, but that was very, very sleek and smooth. And I wanted to make this in a sci-fi style, like it could be on a distant planet, a tropical distant planet with water. And I wanted to make it look like the old remnants of a massive megastructure that was on that planet, but it has crumbled down, sunken down in the ground. And for that I used this debug item. I combined the debug item with the build, with the circular shaped or cylindrical shaped house, and I thought it created a cool effect, like it just was one big house, one big part of a build, if you will. It is a debug item and it is from the Journey to Batuu pack. Yes, I'm almost scared to say that. But the Journey to Batuu pack really comes with some great build and buy items. I know the gameplay is so lacking, but the Journey to Batuu pack really came with some very cool dystopian style items, or post-apocalyptic style items, maybe a little bit steampunk. And this very cool item came with it as well, and I didn't even have to size it up. It's so big just in the game already. But yeah, I wanted to combine that item with a cylindrical house to create this effect. Like I said, like it could be an old spaceship wreck washed up ashore, like it was crashed down in the ocean and it was washed up ashore, but it could be the remnants of an old megastructure as well. Well, I really love the look of that item, and I thought it was perfect to combine it with the house or the shape of the house that I had in my mind. But to create that look, I wanted to go for like it was washed up ashore. Of course, I had to pick out a lot that was on the edge of the ocean. So I picked my favorite lot again. That 64 by 64 one in Brindleton Bay. It's on the edge of the ocean, and I really needed it a 64 width because of course this item is so big. It is so big that it even spills a little bit out of the boundaries of this particular lot. But I thought it was a very cool, because now it could really look like it was washed up ashore. This lot is a little bit further from the shore normally, and because of this item was spilling out of this lot, it was more close to the ocean, and I thought it gave it a cooler effect. I wanted to build everything like it was leaning over to the left. If you take a look at the build just from the front, I thought it was kind of interesting to do. I never really did something like that before. So I used a lot of cables in this build as well. They're also debug items. And I just placed them on the part that I've built, attached to the debug item, and all just leaning a little bit to the left. So I could create an illusion that everything was leaning to the left. And I had that in mind while I was doing the landscaping as well. I wanted to make these kind of hills, as you can see here, but with this very strange shape in them. I thought it looked a little bit more sci-fi, a little bit more strange. Normally I always have reference pictures or inspiration pictures next to me. But this time I had just an image in my mind, a very strange kind of sci-fi, futuristic, alien kind of image of this build on the beach, which is everything leaning to the left. So that's where everything is based on what I had in my mind. So that's why I made these gaps in the ground, if you will, to create that illusion. I wanted to make it look like it was washed up ashore, so that's why I paint the ground with this color of terrain paint, just this sand color. And I thought it immediately changed up the look of the entire build. Like I said, I wanted to make it look like it was leaning over to the left. And I knew we had these amazing palm trees in the game. I already placed a couple of them in. I will place in more later on. These palm trees came with the Island Living pack. And yes, they were leaning over. So I thought it was perfect to use them. You have these kind of normal palm trees that are a little bit leaning over. But you have these very cool palm trees as well that are almost falling down. And I thought I could really create that leaning over to the left effect by using these palm trees. They look a little bit less green than they normally look, these palm trees, and that's because I used the debug version of them. They're normally very bright green, but you have this kind of dead version as well. They're called the dead version, so I think they're supposed to be a dead version of palm trees. I think they really don't look that dead though, but the color is so cool. It's not a bright green, but it's, like I said, softer green, and I thought it just matched the entire build and the entire style I wanted to go for way better, and especially because they were leaning over as well. I'm placing in this particular item. In Dutch is called a schotel. I totally forgot the English word for it, but I thought it kind of added to the sci-fi effect of it. I placed smoke underneath the hill. I used chimneys for that. I used that method in my previous build as well. I created a basement on the spots where I wanted to have that smoke, or underneath the spots. And in that basement I placed in chimneys. After that I placed a fireplace in the corner of the build. And I let my sim light the fireplace, and when you do that you can create smoke in your builds. And I thought for this kind of fantasy build, sci-fi build, I thought it would be fun to use that smoke effect as well. I thought it could look a little bit more like a distant planet in that way. You can see my sim in the left corner of the screen, and normally I always love a build of creating a sim that's really matching my build. But while this build was coming along, I already had a sim created for another build, and it was kind of a country sim, and I thought it would be fun to play around with kind of a cowboy sim, kind of a space cowboy sim in this build as well. But I think it can be perfect if you want to do something with a sim that could be an inventor, for example. I thought that could be so much fun, especially because I will place a lot of items in later on that are these workbenches, so you can experiment with different items there, of course. But I think it can be a lair for a villain as well, and I think you can do a lot with this. And of course I will put it up on the gallery so you can use it in your own game. You can see my sim popping up here and there because I wanted to playtest this build, of course. This part is kind of strange with the toilet and the shower and the sink over here, but I wanted to make this functional, playable, and of course there has to be a toilet on a lot then as well. So I used this kind of strange one with the wooden things everywhere. It kind of looked like you could fabricate your own toilet over there, and I placed in the shower in a rock, so you couldn't see it that good in the sink as well. I had to place it in, and I thought this was the way to make it less visible as I could. And yeah, like I said, for practical reasons, it just really had to be there. Because I had that sci-fi thing in my mind and these old remnants over here, I thought it would be fun to place in a lot of items that were fitting for it. So I placed in a lot of these crates everywhere. This build could kind of be for a scavenger as well. Of course, I wanted to make it possible for your sims to eat here too, but I didn't want to place a kitchen in. I thought a kitchen was a little bit out of place here, especially just on the sand, and especially in the cylindrical shaped hideaway later on. I mean, where do you get the plumbing and everything? Same story for the bathroom though, but for the toilet though. But well, long story short, I placed in a fire pit. and your Sims can grill food over there, or roast foods like marshmallows or sausages, so your Sims can still eat here. I placed in an ice box so your Sim can cool items there. And maybe it's cool gameplay to search for your own food and roast it over the fire there. Now I'm placing in some items on the different decks in the entire cylindrical structure over there. I wanted to give your Sims a couple of things to do. I placed in some generators and a wind turbine, and in my mind that could create electricity in this particular build. So that's why I placed a computer in over there. It came with the Strangerville pack and it has that particular style that really fitted this build. Because of these generators, I thought I could get away with placing in some items that use electricity, of course. And I thought with all these cables everywhere, I could place in these hanging lights as well. I placed in on one level higher, over there, I placed in a work table. It came with the Eco Lifestyle pack. You have one that you can create candles with, and one that you can create fuzzy drinks with, if I'm correct. It sounded so strange, but do you know more about that item? What I could read in the description of the item, you can make fuzzy drinks with that particular item. I mean, why not? You're on a distant planet, and if you're hungry or thirsty for a fizzy drink, you can create your own over there. I used this item that came with the Star Wars Journey 2x2 pack as well to create kind of a look of a bar over there. But all the necessities needed for your Sim are on the ground level in the sand. I placed a tent there, not really a bed. I thought a bed could look a little bit out of place, and with the Snowy Escape pack, we got some amazingly pretty new tents and very, very fitting ones for this build. So your Sim can sleep there. He or she can roast his or her food over the fire, and yeah, of course there's a shower and a toilet and everything. But yeah, I think then we're almost at the end of this video already. I'm very curious what you thought about it. It's kind of a strange one. So please let me know. I'm so happy that you watched this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. You would make me even more happy. I try to do a lot of different things with my builds. I love to experiment with my builds. So if you like that, please consider to subscribe. Of course, in a couple of seconds, you can see kind of an outro. Not really a house tour, because of course it's not really a house, but we're into that outro already. I really hope you will enjoy it. Of course, I will be back this Friday with a brand new and totally different video. I really hope to talk to you then, and I really hope you will have an amazing day today. Goodbye!